Up to Fitz, big up. Guys, listen up. You know what it is now, yeah? I don't know whether to laugh, get angry, or just be silent, really, because I mean, I'm not sure if you guys remembered a stream I done, I wanna say about a couple of weeks ago, I think, yeah. And I was talking about Man United's apparent interest in Conor Gallagher. And part of me was thinking, yeah, this ain't serious. United wouldn't be going in for a player like Conor Gallagher. To think, of the midfield problems that United have at the moment, and there's certain players that are in this team that shouldn't be there. For me, when I see the Conor Gallagher news, I was thinking, yeah, it's just paper talk, man, or it's just the media putting something out there. Yeah. And then you start hearing Ruben Amorim is being pushed by Ruben Amorim. Yeah. And am I surprised it's being pushed by Ruben Amorim? Not really, because all you got to look at is the kind of players that he plays. I think a lot more people are probably clocking onto it now that this manager doesn't like to play footballers. He likes to play runners. So I think there's a few more fans that are now starting to see the problems with this manager. It never escaped me because I always saw, and I said this before. You can always tell what a manager's on, yeah, when you see the players that he favors, and the fact that he favors the likes of the Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Dallo. Obviously, these guys are compatriots. Mason Mounts. He was favoring Yagate, but he's actually realized that Yagate is shit. When I see that the man just started favoring those players, my concerns were there straight away. So you almost knew that he was never going to play the most technical players in favor of playing the athletes. Yeah. Now, what I have to say, yeah, is to think that this club, yeah, to think that this club is actually going to be serious and go for Conor Gallagher, yeah, you have to question and think to yourself, for a start, who is pursuing this? I can only believe it is Amarim, and I'm just praying that Ineos just pull the plug on Conor Gallagher. Yeah, it's actually getting to the point now where people are actually saying a loan deal won't be so bad, and I'll tell you why a loan deal will be bad. Yeah, because I don't give a damn, yeah, if Ruben Amorim wants Conor Gallagher. Ruben Amorim had the chance to get rid of Bruno Fernandes and more or less revamp his whole midfield. He could have sold Bruno Fernandes and got two midfielders in, and in this whole he needs a midfielder wouldn't be talked about. To think that he now wants to get Conor Gallagher, yeah, a player that was at Chelsea, obviously went on loan to Crystal Palace, and now finds himself at Atletico Madrid. And again, is it a surprise he's at Atletico Madrid? Not really. You look at Diego Simeone, and as we know, Simeone is a manager that he likes his athletes. He likes his runners, to say. But to think that Manchester United under this manager is interested in Conor Gallagher in a loan deal, and there's even been talk about Conor Gallagher coming through maybe on a permanent for like 40 million. And there's fans out there that seem to be on board with Conor Gallagher. Like this is how bad this club is. I'm looking at Ineos and I'm looking at the signings they've made. They've not made signings for this manager, which is great. It's more signings, for for multiple managers, you would say. Club signings. The one player that you wouldn't sign is Yagate, who's here, and that's the one player you would say is the blemish on their resume at the moment. But I'll tell you this for free, yeah. If Man United had the cheek to bring in Conor Gallagher, yeah, for me personally, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I'll do because that is a signing that is just unacceptable to make. considering the fact that we have Bruno Fernandes, Manuel Ugarte still at the club, yeah. You know, there's even talk about Man United bringing in Conor Gallagher to replace Kobe Minu. Conor Gallagher to replace Kobe Minu. And again, yeah, this is what I'm trying to say to you, yeah. The way football's gone for me now, yeah, is sad. Is actually sad. We're looking at a world, yeah, where actual footballers, you know, and this is what we grew up on the game on. We grew up on the game of pure footballers. And to think that we're going through a time now where the best footballers can't get onto the pitch because the game is just diluted with athletes. Athletes have taken over this game, yeah? When I'm hearing news like Man United looking at Conor Gallagher to replace Kobe Minu, I think we all have a duty to football, if you love football, to not be quiet on things like this. Because the only reason Kobe Minu is not playing in this team is because the way the manager sees football, you know. And again, Kobe Minu in a midfield two in this system, you know, you're not getting the best out of his strengths. You know, we all know a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 is where Kobe Minu would most likely thrive, yeah? But when we're hearing Conor Gallagher to come in to replace Kobe Minu, you know, you have to question yourself and think what the actual hell is going on at this club. Because I just don't understand, you know, I understand why the manager wants to get him because, as we know, this manager's an absolute clown and doesn't respect pure footballers. He likes athletes with the teams that he picks. So when I'm seeing that he wants Conor Gallagher and he wants to add to the midfield, I kind of get it because it's not surprising me. The one thing that I can't understand is when you got some fans that just seem to be accepting of the fact that this man can that this club can accept Conor Gallagher coming in. You know, as I said, there's been rumors of 40 million. There's been rumors of a loan deal, and it's just crazy to think, man, that this could actually be a possibility in Conor Gallagher coming to Manchester United. I mean, who would have thought that? You know, who would have thought Conor Gallagher would be a viable option for Manchester United? You know, and as I said, man, I'm looking at the midfield now, yeah, and you've got the likes of Mason Mount. You know, he plays out on the left, and again, even Mason Mount, who I don't rate, yeah, even he would probably be beneficial more in a 4-3-3, yeah, maybe a 4-2-3-1 as a 10, and that's not saying that I want Mason Mount at this club because I don't, yeah. But he would be more beneficial in that formation. So you think of Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, and Conor Gallagher. 3 players, well, definitely 2 at the moment, because obviously the other one's not here. 2 of them that are favourites of Ruben Amorim. Yeah. Can you actually see a situation, yeah, where you've got Conor Gallagher, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount all in the same team at the expense of Kobe Minu, who could be gone, Joshua Zirkzee, who could be gone, Ahmad at wingback? I mean, as fans, we shouldn't be accepting this personally. You know, we should not be accepting this. Big up to Exedra says this could be something that Ruben's scheming. Listen, bro, I hope not, man, because one thing I would say, yeah, is if Ineos actually have the cheek to sanction this move, then that'll be me just done with this club, man. That'll be me. You know, obviously I'll still be doing my streams as normal, but I think in terms of believing in this club, yeah, it'll be truly done, man. And I said this, there's no way, yeah, that I'm going to watch Manchester United week in, week out with a midfield of Conor Gallagher, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount. I just wouldn't watch United. I'd have to be honest. You know, as I said, I'll still be doing my reactions, but I'm not going to sit down and watch Manchester United, you know, with those 3 in midfield. That is something that I cannot accept. You know, I can't even accept two of them right now. It's killing me to watch Bruno Fernandes play every week, and then Mason Mount. And although, yeah, Mason Mount is someone that I would have him ahead of Bruno Fernandes. Like I would. If it was a choice between Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes in the team, I would pick Bruno Fernandes. I would pick Mason Mount. And that isn't because I rate Mason Mount highly. I just think in terms of possession based, I'd much rather have Mason Mount in there than Bruno Fernandes. But when you see both of them playing, and then that might be topped up with Conor Gallagher, this is when for me it's unacceptable. And I think definitely I'll have to rethink watching Manchester United, because I've been watching this club for over 30 years, yeah, and I've never seen a club in this. I've never seen Manchester United in this state that it is now. You know, the standards have been lowered to a level where we're just accepting defeats. We're accepting players like Conor Gallagher being linked to us as well. We're accepting a player like Bruno Fernandes that can just do what he wants in terms of on the pitch. Like, people might as well just say, Bruno Fernandes actually runs this club. He does. He's the captain. He's on every set piece. He plays every minute of every game. He's got his compatriot manager. This is Bruno Fernandes' club. I've never seen a player that low level, being running a club as big as Manchester United. And as I said, like, I'm pissed off, but I'm just in disbelief that I'm actually doing a stream on Manchester United being linked to Conor Gallagher and to replace Kobbie Mainoo. And you're now getting people saying that Kobbie Mainoo's not as good as people thought he was. Kobbie's got no legs. Yeah, he's not even in the England squad no more. That's not Kobbie's doing. This is the club in choosing to hire a manager like Ruben Amorim, and continuously sticking with him. And this is why I keep saying, yeah, and I said this when at the start of the summer, when there was talk about Kobbie going, I said when Kobbie and his team come out with what they did come out with at the start, when they said, Kobbie more or less wants to move on in a sense. For me, that was a ploy to see how much the club think of him, And I'm still going to stick to my guns and say, I don't believe that Manchester United would sanction the loss of a academy graduate for Ruben Amorim, for a manager that has been a disgrace since he's come here. He has. I can't tell you one thing that he's done which I actually support. Well, tell a lie. The fact that he got rid of Garnacho and Højlund is a good start, But other than that, I can't actually tell you from a playing standpoint. I can't actually tell you what he's actually been good for Manchester United. People will say the wins against Man City, the wins against Liverpool, etc., Chelsea. Go and look at the context in them games, because none of them games were smooth sailing, and not to mention that was the players winning the game, not Amorim's tactics, because we've already seen, his in-game tactics are some of the worst it's ever been. That game against Tottenham, in terms of his substitutions, has to be the poorest set of substitutions I've seen, because he just made. I actually said at the time, yeah, it was like a kid in the sweet shop, because it just seemed like he just made subs for the sake of it. And the fact that United was hanging on at the end and it needed the licked header to save them, it just shows you, man, that this club I say this club, Ineos, believing in this manager for some reason just doesn't make any sense. And he's the guy that is driving this Conor Gallagher move. I mean, look at Casemiro, yeah? People were saying Casemiro, he's finished, his legs are gone, etc. He's been United's best midfielder. He has. He's been United's best midfielder. And if Conor Gallagher does come in, you can definitely see a situation where this manager has the cheek at Manchester United, yeah, to yeah, you can definitely see a situation where this manager has the cheek, yeah, to play a midfield two of Gallagher and Bruno Fernandes. I mean, I can't actually believe I'm actually watching Manchester United and there's a possibility of Bruno Fernandes and Conor Gallagher playing in a midfield two for Man United. Like, it just seems unheard of, you know. But January, from what we're hearing, it's looking like a possibility. And there's actual fans out there that are even accepting of this. They're accepting the fact that they don't even mind, yeah, if Gallagher comes in on loan. I think the very fact that we're actually talking about a loan deal for Gallagher is concerning, because he's a player for me that there's no way Manchester United should be signing. No way. You know, if you haven't got a Mason Mount or a Bruno Fernandes at the club, you know, it'd be tough. Like, I still wouldn't want him, but it would probably be like, no, I don't want that signing. But you know, it is what it is. The very fact that Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount are there, and this manager wants to go for Conor Gallagher, it's just showing you the direction that this manager wants to go in, and we can already see it on the pitch. You know, there's no longevity in what this manager is doing. There's none whatsoever. You know, as I said, this manager is in survival mode, and it's one of them things where if he's allowed to bring in the players that he wants to bring in, it's not going to get any better. It's not, because there's bigger problems ahead for this manager, you know, and his team selection is one thing, yeah, but the biggest problem for him is his profile of players that he identifies. I mean, why? I mean, there's so many midfielders that are probably available, but yet he wants to go for Conor Gallagher. Why? And he wants to go for Conor Gallagher because Conor Gallagher runs around. Like, where has football gone where we're watching players that just are more effective at getting around the pitch rather than quality? Quality will always win in the end. I don't care what anyone says. Quality will always win in the end. And this manager wants to go for someone that we know is more effective off the ball than he is on the ball. And then to think that we're losing a player in Kobe Minu who's come through the youth is clearly good enough to be playing games. But the way this manager sees football, yeah, means that he now has to think about moving on. Do you know what it is? I just don't know what to say, man. I'm in disbelief thinking that Conor Gallagher is actually a viable option. You know? Crazy, man. Let's go through some of the chats. Guys, big up. Make sure we're smashing the like button and make sure we're subbing to the channel as well. So, guys, when you smash the like button, it helps the channel to grow. Obviously, the algorithms at the moment are just all messed up. So, again, if you're enjoying the content or you support the channel, make sure you're smashing that like button. So, hi, Gav. I refuse to believe it until it happens. The club hasn't signed players like Gallagher outside of Ugarte. Yeah, my guy. I agree, yeah. And I'm doing this stream, yeah, but I don't believe they actually sanction this deal. Because I'm thinking, look at the deals that Ineos have done, yeah? And there's no way for me that they actually push through with getting Conor Gallagher. You know, Conor Gallagher, for so many reasons, yeah, shouldn't be signed by this club. Not to mention that you have players that are very similar in Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes already. And you want to go and bring in a third one. So, as I said, man, Ineos haven't made these deals, yeah? And apart from the Ugarte one. But the fact that we're hearing news about Conor Gallagher and it seems to be very strong, I think it's worrying times, man. It's definitely worrying times. Because that's just a player that I just can't get on board with. You know, it's even funny when you see him in the England squad. But I think lately he's not even been in there. So as I said, man, it's crazy to think that Manchester United will be interested in a Conor Gallagher. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with the belief that they don't sign him, but I just think we need to be wary of this news that's coming out. And then when you're seeing fans that are seem to be getting on board with Conor Gallagher, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Um, Man U above Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, how long that stays for? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Liverpool aren't great, but Manchester United are no better. And when I'm saying Man United no better, they're no better under this manager. Because if we had a different manager with a different system, I'd be more confident. But when we're hearing that he wants to sign the likes of Conor Gallagher and they're playing the way they are, I ain't got no belief in this team. I haven't. And as I said, man, we're above Liverpool at the moment, but on joint points. But do I believe we stay above them for the whole season under this manager? I don't. So, yeah, is what it is. Gav, the one thing I have faith in is Vivel. He's been fantastic so far. Yeah, listen, Alex Vivel, for me personally, he has made some very good acquisitions. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, but I just don't. When I'm hearing Conor Gallagher's name being mentioned with the club, yeah, it's one of them things where it's coming from somewhere. I believe it's coming from Ruben Amorim. You know, I don't believe Ineos or Vivel are recommending this signing. I don't see it because they surely would have learnt from Manuel Ugarte. Yeah. So I think it's being driven by Ruben Amorim, yeah. But I just don't understand why this has been allowed to come out. There's no part of me, yeah. There's no part of me that is going to be invested in Conor Gallagher as a signing. Not to mention that this manager, yeah, he's the one that chose to keep Bruno Fernandes. And now you're going to tell me that he's going to go in for a Conor Gallagher and I'm going to be all right with that. No way. No way would I accept that. So, yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. It's crazy. But, yeah, you have to believe that Vivel, man, will have his say and block this move, man, as well. But I'm still going to remain confident that Kobe stays, that Xerxes stays, and this Conor Gallagher nonsense doesn't happen. I'm still going to have to remain positive on that front. The one thing that I would say, though, is for Kobe and for Xerxes, because it's very clear that this manager, I mean, it's looking like he's going to survive to January. So just based on that, those two players do have to get game time and move on. And it's unfortunate. You know, if it's a loan deal, then fair enough. But for me, I'll be absolutely pissed off, man, if those two leave on a permanent. I'll be honest. So for me, if it's a loan deal for them to get game time and try and force their way into the England squad, I mean, into the international squads for the World Cup, then so be it. I won't be happy because they're two players that should be playing for me. But you'd understand if that happens. But if I was to see Xerxes and Mainu move on, whether it's permanent or loan, and then Conor Gallagher comes in, fold the club, man. This club will be done, well and truly done. I'm just sick and tired, yeah, of seeing the best players, the best footballers leave this club, or not being given the platform to showcase their ability. You know, this club for too long has been too invested in athletes, or just hiring the wrong managers to get the best out of the technicians. And I'm just fed up of seeing it at the moment. And it's looking like it's going down that same route. So, yeah, man, it's a problem. How long is Sesko out for? I think Sesko returns after the international break. So it's not as serious as a lot of people predicted. So I think after the international break. But as I said, man, there's Vivel was the one that recommended Sesko as well. But again, there's a lot of people getting onto Sesko's back. You know, I think Sesko has been decent since he's come to the club. I don't think he should have been starting ahead of Xerxes for me. But there's fans coming out there. I mean, you even got fans now saying, yeah, that Rasmus Højlund was doing better than Sesko. This is how far the club's dropped. Because again, I didn't really want Sesko, as you guys already know. There was other strikers that I was looking for the club to sign. But the fact that Sesko's coming and Rasmus went, I was more happy. But to think that there's fans out there that think Rasmus Højlund is doing better than Sesko, it just shows you, man, that what a lot of fans look for, man, is confusing. It's confusing, and it's just, yeah, the standards at this club are at an all-time low, man. I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm happy to see Man U back in the top 6. Yeah, but it's 11 games into the season, and we're not 6. so we're not 6, and it's 11 games into the season. I think when it gets to 25 games in the season, this is when we can start seeing what's really going to happen. And we're 11 games into the season, and Man United find themselves in 8th and could easily be in the bottom half. Because I'll tell you this now, this table, there's a couple of points separating the bottom half teams and teams as low as 6. Yeah. I think there's like 4 or 5 teams that are all on the same points. So again, I'm not getting carried away that Man United are 8th, because Manchester United, for all the years that I've been watching them, should not be 8th. Man United, for me, I said start of the season, top 6 is a minimum. And even that, for me, is a joke. The reason I'm saying top 6 is because I'm looking at the squad that United have, but the manager, for me, is the biggest problem. Biggest problem. Because if Man United had a manager, like a Zidane, like a Roberto De Zerbi, an Iriola, a Glasner, I'm saying top 4 is a minimum. I'm not going to say we challenge for the title, because I think a manager coming into his first season, it might be a bit unfair or unrealistic. But a positive manager with who plays the best players, I would have said United top 4 as a minimum. This manager it should be top 6 as a minimum for me, because of the signings that have been made. But do I think United finish top 6 in this manager? No. I've already said it. If this manager survives the whole season, Man United will be in the bottom half. They'll be bottom half. Because this manager is incapable of playing the best players. And he's not going to change his way. He's going to continue playing, this 3-4-2-1 formation. And again, there's a lot of fans that think United are playing a 3-4-3. Man United are not playing a 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 because they're playing with 2 number 10s. And the fact that he's got Mbeumo playing as a 10 is the problem as well. So, again, under this manager, we're not finishing in the top half for me. And that's not because the players collectively are not good enough. It's because this manager doesn't know what he's doing. He sets up in the wrong way. And when you're picking the wrong players each and every week, you're not playing with the most technical players on the pitch for the majority of the time, and you're being linked with Conor Gallagher, I'm not going to say they're going to finish in the top half. No way. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, Espar's just already answered that question. I didn't even see that. Where will Man U finish the season? If this man just survives the whole season, bottom half. Bottom half. I'm saying to that right now. I'm confident that they'll finish bottom half under this manager. And again, I reiterate, it is nothing to do with the players. The players themselves, the squad, can definitely finish top 6 as a minimum. Definitely. But under this manager, I don't see them finishing in the top half. And again, Man United are 11. Man United have played 11 games. They're 8th. And even the teams that are in the bottom half, and I'm going to check it right now, actually, just so I can just see the league table. So, let's have a look. So yeah, United are, oh no, United are seventh, sorry. So they're seventh on 18 points. So if you look at Everton, yeah, Everton are 13th. And Man United have got Everton coming up. I believe it's yeah. Funny enough, actually, Man United's next game is against Everton. Funny enough, so Everton are 13th, yeah, on 15 points. If Everton beat Man United after the international break, they go above United on equal points. This is what I'm trying to tell you, and this is a team that is 13th. Not to mention the majority of the games that Man United have played. Really, if we're being honest, they shouldn't have won. The only game I would say that they comfortably won was probably Sunderland. You see what I mean? All the other games, the Liverpool game, the Brighton game, um, the Burnley game. Who's the other teams they won? They've all been, fortunate for me. So as I said, man, I think Everton next game, if Everton beat them, they're on the same points as United. And that's a team that is 13th. So can you see what I mean now? Yeah? So I'm gonna say bottom half under this manager if he does survive. You know? Garnacho doing a good job at Chelsea. Not for me. And again, this is what I'm trying to say to you as well, yeah. There's certain players that just get given the affordance of having one or two decent games. The fact that Garnacho has got what's he got? 3 GA in his last 2 games. All of a sudden, he's now doing a good job. So it's like people just forget about what's gone before that. And this is where football's gone. There's just certain players that don't have to do too much to get afforded praise again. And we know why that is. I haven't watched all of Chelsea's games, but I just know that from hearing some people that are Chelsea supporters or watching a couple of games that I have watched, Garnacho hasn't been any different to what he was at Manchester United. He's just someone that is a willing runner, and then eventually, he will get his due because he just keeps going. He just keeps going and going. But the thing is, when we're hearing now that he's doing a good job, like this is where the standards, not just at my club, Man United, but in football in general, have gone. Because a player because he's got 3 GA in 2 games, and let's remind everyone, the 2 games have come against Karabag in the Champions League, yeah, and a team in Wolves that haven't even won a Premier League game yet. They've got 2 points in the Premier League. And all of a sudden, Garnacho's doing a good job. And then when Garnacho eventually, goes back to the old Garnacho, I say go back to the old Garnacho. When Garnacho doesn't get the GA, and he's doing the same thing that he was doing at United, people are now going to start saying he's shit. But just realize that he's shit anyway. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Which club do you support? Manchester United? So now my pops would come back and haunt me if I turned my back through hard times. That man went from best Charlton law, then waited until Cantona arrived. Listen, my guy, I hear it, man. I hear it, but I'm saying this now, yeah. I'm at a point with Manchester United, yeah. And again, it's been going on for years. I've been talking about Manchester United and the problems that have been going on for time, yeah. I'm just not gonna get behind this Ruben Amorim, this club, if Conor Gallagher is signed. This goes back to the likes of the Pogbas, the Martial days, maybe even slightly before then. There's been a massive problem at this club, when I'm talking about in terms of, how certain players are viewed, how certain players. I'll give an example. Fred was someone that was heavily criticized by this fan base, yeah, but we know why that is. We know why that is. I haven't got to say but we all know why that is. And I've spoken about this for time. To think that we've now got a midfield, yeah, that contains Ugarte and a Bruno Fernandes that is a number 8 in a 4-3-3, and Fred was hounded out of this club. You can't tell me, yeah, that it isn't what me and many already know. Yeah. So that's one thing. Then you think of Pogba, Martial, the racial abuse that these guys got. Yeah. And then you think of Jadon Sancho, you know, Joshua Zirkzee. Even though Joshua Zirkzee is loved by the fan base now, but when he first came, you know, people were calling him lazy. They said he's overweight. All these things were coming with it. Yeah. So again, there's been many things that have gone on at this club that I've just been fed up with. You know, when Ineos came in, I thought, you know what? Let's see if we're gonna see something different. The fact that we're being linked with Conor Gallagher might just send me over the edge, I'll be honest. Because that is just one player, yeah? Especially when you've got the likes of Bruno and Mason Mount there, I can't accept. I can't accept. And not even for no loan deal, not even on a permanent, yeah? Like, that is just something I can't accept. Definitely not. So, I understand, man, but I think I'd have to seriously reconsider watching Manchester United, if I'm honest with you. Because could you imagine a midfield, yeah, of Bruno and Conor Gallagher? Bruno and Conor Gallagher in the two, you know, under this manager. Doesn't make sense. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, to think that McTominay, again, another player that I don't rate really. I mean, yeah, he's a goal threat, but I've never rated McTominay. To think that McTominay has gone, and we're now going to go back for a Conor Gallagher. I mean, what's this club trying to do? What's it trying to do? As I said, yeah, if Bruno and Mount wasn't there, and then you go for a Conor Gallagher, it wouldn't be so bad because it'd be like, we shouldn't be signing a player like that anyway, but whatever. That's what I would say. But to think that we've got Bruno, Gallagher, and Mount, and then Gallagher possibly, unacceptable for me. Unacceptable. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well for the super sticker. Big up. Be better off with Conor McGregor. Yeah, guys, come on. Make sure we're smashing the like button. Make sure we're subbing to the channel if we're new as well. These algorithms have been messing up lately, man. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, just got to obviously work through it, man, and defeat them. But Jonas must be very happy. On what? What's Jonas happy from? What's he? What the fact that we're on joint points? I don't know, man. I don't know. Big up to Chris and Mark. Yeah, big up, man. So Amarim wants the system to bring success rather than individuals. It's actually more sustainable for long-term consistency, but not for reaching the highest level. Again, yeah, and this is the problem. The players will always be more important than the system and the manager. Like, the fact that this manager is so in love with the system is going to be his undoing. It's going to be his undoing. Because there's not one part of me that thinks that these players are not enjoying their football. You can tell a lot of them are just getting on with the job because they're being paid to do a job. But they can't be enjoying what they're doing, man. No, there's no part of me that thinks they are. And as I said, the way that this manager sees football is the problem. Is the problem. You know what I mean? Big up to Rayan. It is the problem. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. There's no longevity in what he's doing. You can just see there's not. So it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of everyone's time. Because I just don't believe that he's going to do anything Like, what is the and that's what I want to know. What is the actual targets for Amarim? What is the targets for him going forward? Because if his target is to get into the top 4, that's not going to happen. So sack him now. I'm saying it now. He's not getting top 4 with this team. He's not. And not because the team ain't good enough. It's because his setup is all wrong. His whole setup is all wrong. The players he chooses consistently are all wrong. So I would love to know what Ineos, what their plan is with this manager. You know, when you're hearing Ratcliffe come out and say he needs 3 years, 3 years to do what? What is the plan? If his plan is to, you know, do better than 15th, I mean, that's an absolute disgrace, but then maybe he'll complete his objectives. Who knows? But if the plan is for this season, for Manchester United to be in the top 4, sack him now, because he's not going to get top 4, because he hasn't got what it takes. It's very obvious. You do not make those poor substitutions against Tottenham, a game where you're in control, and then end up salvaging a point at the end. You don't do that. You know, that is just poor in-game management. Tottenham were poor. They were poor, man, going forwards. They had nothing to offer going forwards. And to think that they were 2-1 up because this manager decided to make those subs for the sake of it, and then it took De Ligt, you know, a last-minute header to save the game. Well, not even save the game, to salvage a point. Why would you believe in Amarim going forwards? You wouldn't. So again, it's not sustainable for the way that this system is going, because there's no manager that is going to be given every single player. You know, and I don't even trust the players that he gets given anyway. So I just don't understand it, man. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, man. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, listen. If Man United sign Gallagher, the club's done. The club is done. The club is done. As I said, there's people that are actually saying if it's a loan deal. Like, there's no part of me that wants to see a loan deal. I don't want to see that player at Manchester United. You know, could you imagine a midfield here of Ugarte, Gallagher, Bruno Fernandes, and Casemiro? I mean, I feel sorry for Casemiro. Casemiro is our best midfielder. He could possibly get dropped for Conor Gallagher. Like, it's laughable, really. You know what I mean? It's absolutely laughable. It's laughable, man. But yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? But we would actually be finished, man, if that was to happen. Be finished, because I mean, look at Cunha. You know, Cunha's a top player. He's struggling in this system. Why? Because this manager wants to play him as a 9. It's like this manager thinks he's smart. Cunha's not a 9. You know, a blind man can tell you he's not a 9. He's a 10. So why are you messing around with a player that's clearly a number 10? Because the way you see football and the way that you're just stubborn. You know, to think that you've got 2 of Man United's big name signings in the summer, and the majority of the time, neither one of them are playing in their favourite positions. Work that one out. Mbuemo's playing as a 10, Cunha's playing as a 9. And you want me to believe in this manager? Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. So the league has moved on from finesse. Goals are scored through high pressing and set pieces now. Not entertaining, but it's effective. Nice crap. And I'm never gonna be of that opinion. The game has gone from finesse. I agree. But there's no part of me that's gonna accept that I'm gonna enjoy watching a league, yeah, where it's high pressing and set pieces. Like, that's not football to me. That's an absolute joke, yeah? And this I'm trying to say to you, yeah? When you're hearing people say that this league's the best league in the world, it's a complete lie, man. It's a complete lie. Like, it's the most competitive league, not the best. Because when we're seeing the league has moved on from finesse, goals are scored through higher pressing and set pieces now, are we any surprised why the football's shit and why we keep seeing athletes playing? I'm never going to be of that opinion, yeah, that football's moved on from that. It's just that you're getting coaches or managers that think they're better than the players. That's basically what's going on. Like look at Pep, for instance, yeah? Pep's one of the greatest managers ever. He is, yeah? Even he is adapting his game. Even he is. Look at how he's using Doku and Haaland now, yeah? He's playing a bit more direct to get the ball into them because he's adapting to the players. Ruben Amorim isn't adapting to the players he has. He's just in love with the formation that he has. That's a problem for me. So, as I said, man, I'm not going to be of the opinion that more goals are scored roughly through higher pressing and set pieces. If that is the case, then that needs to change. And that is the problem. Because how can we watch football, yeah, and watch a manager that chooses to have the majority of the players that are just athletes rather than absolute footballers? It's a joke. Absolute joke. Walton, Anderson, Manu Kone, Stiller, Luka Sucic. We need those type of centre midfielders. Yeah, listen, all those players, and Baleba as well, Eduardo Camavinga, should all be in the conversation, not Conor Gallagher. I mean, this Conor Gallagher thing is winding me up because I just can't believe that there's a possibility that Manchester United signed Conor Gallagher. Doesn't make any sense to me, man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'd say keep him if he gets Champions League or Europa League football this season. But again, that is lowering of the standards. That is lowering of the standards to keep Ruben Amorim. Why should it be a case, yeah, if Europa, like Champions League football, if he qualifies for Champions League football, then yeah, I hear that. Because even though from what I remember of Manchester United, him getting Champions League football would have to be seen as a positive. Do I believe he gets it? No, because he's just not good enough. Do I believe he gets in the top half with this team? The team should easily be top half, but I don't believe in the manager. But if he gets Champions League football, then they will keep him, definitely. 100% they'll keep him. And I wouldn't really have much of a problem with that because that will be the objectives that they probably set out for him. And if he gets Champions League football, then fair enough. But I don't think he will. Well, in actual fact, I know he won't. I know he won't. How has De Ligt been in Manchester? De Ligt's been the best defender in the league this season for me. As I said previously, yeah, people are not putting respect on De Ligt's name. They're not. De Ligt right now, for me, is the best defender in the world. I'd argue that with anyone. I don't think there's been a better defender this season than De Ligt. People might say Gabriel, but I think De Ligt's probably been better than Gabriel. You know, let's look at De Ligt's game. You know, he's an aerial threat in both boxes. You know, he's aggressive. You know, he's decent in possession. His reading of the game is ridiculous. His reading of the game. He's always in the right position. You know, his recovery pace is good. Like, there ain't a weakness to his game. Like, there ain't, as a defender. So, for me, he's the best defender in the world right now. I'd argue that with anyone. The maddest part of the anything above 15th thing is that if it was Amorim that finished 15th after managing the majority of the season. I agree. I agree. And the fact that people think Man United finishing above 15th is acceptable, again, it just shows you that the standards are well and truly in the bin. Because 15th shouldn't be looked at as anything above that as progression. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Because Manchester United should never have finished 15th in the first place. For me, as I said, top 6 is a minimum. I don't think that's too hard to ask. That's a minimum with the amount of money that United has spent. The resources that are available to United, top 6 is a minimum. So I won't accept nothing less than top 6. You know? As I said, better manager, top 4 for me. Yeah, literally, man. De Ligt is the best centre back in the league. He is. I'm gonna say he's the best centre back in the world right now. Right now, he is. So Liverpool will win Premier League this year. Note it down. Nah, Man City for me. Man City win it. I said Man City. For me, at the start, it was Man City and Liverpool in the conversation. You know, I said Liverpool might they might they'll be the front runners for me because of the signings they made. But part of me was saying City because Pep has just got something that he needs to basically win this season, whether it's Champions League or the league. And again, to think here that Liverpool have lost, is it? I think something like they've lost 5 of their last 7 games or something like that. Yeah, which is crazy. And they're still on 18 points. So what? I think they're 3 points off of Man City. Let's check. I think they're 3 points off of City, I believe, in second. Sorry, 4 points. So again, to think that Liverpool, yeah, have lost 5 games this season and they've been poor, and yet they're only 4 points off a second. I'm telling you, all you got to do is just put a couple of wins in a row together, and you're going to shoot up the table because it's tight. Look, if we're disregarding Arsenal, because Arsenal are on 26 at the moment, which again, they'll be cool. Don't worry about that. But if we're looking at from City in second on 22 points, all the way down to Everton in 15th, yeah, there is 7 points in it. 7 points from 13th to second. 7 points. I'm trying to tell you, 7 points from 13th to second. You get a couple of wins in a row, you're gonna shoot up that table. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So this is by nowhere means over. And Newcastle are on 12 points. They're in 14th. Leeds and Fulham are on 11 points, 15th, 16th. So as I said, from Everton in 13th on 15 points, there is 7 points from them and City in second. So this league, as I said, man, is a tight league. And if any team just gets 2 wins in a row, you'll see, you'll see that it's false positions for a lot of these teams. False positions. It's false positions, as I said, man. But yeah, man, I definitely think there's a long way to go, man. 11 games in as well. And I think Arsenal and is it Chelsea? Arsenal and Chelsea, I think it might be. They have some tough games coming up, you know. So as I said, man, there's gonna be points dropped, man, and these other teams will have to capitalize. So it's a tight league this season, man, and it's gonna be interesting to see where all these teams finish. So, but guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Again, make sure you smash the like button and make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. But as I said, man, if you guys think that Conor Gallagher should be a viable option, then again, make sure you put that in the comments after the chat. But I just can't believe, man. I just can't believe Manchester United are actually going for are actually interested in Conor Gallagher. And I want to keep saying this has been driven by Ruben Amorim, not the club. You know, and I'm just hoping that the club actually turn around and just, you know, say, look, we're not getting you this player. Something has to be done, man, because as I said, there is no part of me that is gonna there's no part of me that is gonna support this. No part of me, you know. Big up to Gamer. There's no part of me that is gonna support this signing. So yeah. But yeah, obviously guys, I'm gonna shoot off anyway. But big up yourselves for coming on. As I said, smash the like button, sub to the channel. I'm actually gonna watch the England game tonight, funny enough. 7 o'clock against Serbia. You know, I think Serbia will provide a slight test for them, even though, you know, you probably would expect England to win. But one thing I would say, you know, I did tell you guys that, you know, and Thomas Tuchel has come out of it as well, yeah? Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham and Foden can't all play in the same team, which isn't a surprise anyway. Something has to give. And, you know, this is why I'm saying to you, yeah, this World Cup coming up with who he selects, Tuchel, and who he goes with in his lineup is going to be interesting because Harry Kane plays and Foden or Bellingham, one of them are not starting the game. And they're two players that, I mean, if you're asking me who would I start out of Bellingham and Foden, it's easy. Phil Foden all day long because Phil Foden's a footballer, first and foremost. And the better footballers you have in the team, the better your team is going to be. But him and Jude Bellingham with Harry Kane, they all can't play because you've got Harry Kane that wants to drop deep. Phil Foden wants to get onto the ball. And Jude Bellingham, I mean, playing him as a 10 is an absolute disgrace to football. You know, so Thomas Tuchel has come out and said all three of them can't play. Not to mention you've got Cole Palmer that comes back into it. You know, Eze is in there. You know, who will be the left winger? At the moment, you're looking at Rashford or Gordon. So, listen, there's a lot of, like, who will be the midfield? Elliot Anderson's forced his way into there. Declan Rice, we know, is going to play. So, there's a lot of things that are going to be going on in this England team. So, we're going to have to wait and see, man, what happens. But, yeah, I think this game, I'm going to try and catch it. So, 7 o'clock, I think it might be a, 7:30 or an 8 o'clock kickoff. But I can't stand seeing England play the likes of these other countries. But I think against Serbia, you know, that might be a decent test, even though England should beat them anyway. But 7:45 kickoff, okay. So, yeah, as I said, England should beat them. But, yeah, I'm going to try and catch it and see. I think I want to see the lineup he goes with. That's what I want to see. You know, I want to see the lineup he goes with in attack because it will let me know. And I'm going to say as well, the lineup he goes with, the attack he goes with, it might give you a bit of an insight as to what team he'll probably go with in his first game. I know there's some players that are out injured at the moment that might come back into it. But if you're looking at the fact that Kane, Saka, Rashford, all them guys that you're probably looking at that might start, yeah, I think, and obviously Bellingham's back in the squad as well. I want to see what he does. I want to see what he does with the lineup because we'll get a very good insight as to his first game come that World Cup. So it is what it is. But yeah, guys, big up yourselves for coming on. Smash the like button, sub to the channel. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.